Hello, internet friends, and welcome to episode number 138. It's a lot of numbers. Of FinalBossTV, your wild game rating show. I'll be your host. My name's Adam K, aka Bay. Today is the final and concluding episode of Druid History Month. We did Druid, and today is Guardian Druid. All the past episodes, of course, you can find on our YouTube channel, linked down below, or you can, of course, find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music. Just search for FinalBossTV. Just go check that out if you're looking at the audio-only versions, or if you want to see all the chunked episode from the live stream onto YouTube. There it is, right down there below. But first, of course, I have to thank the assistant producers of the show, keeping this going. Truffles, Ludovicus, Taislin, R4, Dalthier, and Tachinori. Thank you very much for your continued and really gracious support to help keep this going. And of course, if you want to help out in the same way and get BTS things, show notes, and the additional podcasts, the link to my Patreon page is right down below. The Guardian Druid BTS podcast will be going up shortly after I'm done here today, but the show notes are there. And there's the Feral BTS podcast, there's that one, there's the Resto Druid one down there, and you keep going, and there's the Balanced Druid BTS podcast. These are made just for those supporting the show that extra mile on Patreon. You can go check that out down below if you are interested in more nerd talk. But enough about me. Let's go introduce my guests for the show today. It's a triple guest show today, because I thought that this is the current state of Guardian Druid. Let's bring on 3 people to talk about it from their own walks of bare life. So first up, of course, Akmandor. Hello, sir. Welcome to the show. Hello, hello.
Hi, guys.
You're here to be totally serious and talk about how terrible Guardian Druid is, correct?
Yeah, I'm always 100% serious. This deck is complete garbage.
Oh my god. Okay. That's fair. Joining you in the No Camera Club is Pumps. Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hello, friends. I'm here to talk about Thrash.
Yeah, that's about
Thrash.
It's about 73% of the show today will be talking about Thrash, I'm sure. So that totally works. But welcome. Good morning to you all across the sea there. My god. What time is it over in Australia right now?
It's 6:20 a.m. Still no sun out.
Have you ever talked about World of Warcraft this early in the morning ever before?
Oh yeah, I'm a big nerd. I get up for the PTR tests. We do it.
Oh, that's true. That's true. There you go. And then wrapping up our guest today is Bunnychaser. Hello, sir. Welcome. Push a talk, maybe? Couldn't hear you. Hello.
God. Doing good already. Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
Had to get it figured out.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
First time.
Yeah, first take, first try, not edited. But you're the X factor in all of this, right? You're the X factor between these two. What? Wait, what? What? Sir, we lost you. Come back.
My microphone is just fucking up. Okay, we got it. Sorry.
We got it. No, I said, but you're the X factor between everyone right here, right?
Yeah, I've been told that I'm the X factor, but it's very related.
Hey, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I haven't done a triple guest show in a while, so of course, bear with me as I get used to asking 3 different people questions and stuff on the show. That's my only that's hopefully my only one that'll just suddenly happen. I can't do it. I can't do it. But I guess we're gonna go back around the table here real quick. Yeah, I'm done. I'm out already. Exactly. But to get acquainted, since with Legion's shows going forward, I like to bring on new guests and people that are in the community, building things, creating resources, figuring things out, spreading, hopefully, the correct information. But, so I'm going to go around the table and see what do you do in the Discord community and the whole WoW sphere of Guardian Druids. So I'm going to go over to Pumps first, sir. What do you do with this big wide world of Warcraft?
I write the MMO champion guide, and I get all the rank 1s.
Oh. Humble brag, yeah?
Yeah.
It's not much humble. Not much humble. Brag.
Not much humble. So do you do all of the, I'm bringing up your guide on stream right now. Do you do all this like yourself, or who helps put this all together? Like, do you have a group of people to give some shout outs to that help figure all this stuff out?
Yeah, there's a few people who add like the patch notes every time. I can't be bothered writing the patch notes up. So Vorum does that. But yeah, the rest of the guide's pretty much just me.
Okay. Do you have any guinea pigs that test things out for you to make sure stuff works, or do you just do it all yourself?
I just thrash the dummies until it works.
Oh. Fair enough. Yep, nope, it's just me. Pumps 2017. Fair enough. Fair enough. Bunny, how about you? What do you tackle in the Guardian Druid WoW space?
Mostly just do some things through Discord. Not much of it. I don't know. Not much. I write the APL for.
Oh, I think what's happening.
APL.
If you tab away from Skype, I think that's what's killing your microphone.
It's probably what's doing it.
We've had. Okay. So wait, you make the APL for Simcraft then, or?
Yeah, I write the. Well, I help. I guess most of the people in the Dreamgrove Discord help write it, but there's a lot of. Yeah, it's mostly a group thing, I'd say, in regards to Bear Theory.
And how does an APL work for, like, do you simulate like the tanking stuff or just like the DPS side of things?
No, mostly the DPS side of things. I think that's how most tanks do it, honestly. It's in terms of mitigation, it's fairly straight for tanks, I'd say, for stats. So.
Okay, fair enough. So I never know how that stuff works, because there's always this back and forth on like, well, how do you know how to gear as a tank or whatnot? But I guess in the Legion world, you sort of DPS and the tanking stuff sort of just happens. So, fair enough. And then, Ak, how about you? What do you handle in the WoW sphere for Guardian?
I work on the Fury crafting site most of the time. Tell people how to press Thrash correctly. Yeah.
Oh, so you tell Pumps how to press Thrash, then he just presses Thrash.
Yeah, I tell him to press Thrash for 30 seconds straight, and then he gets the rank 1, and we're all happy.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay. I was gonna make sure that's a really hard spell to hit, so I had to be sure that it was not just a one-person job. Yeah. So
it gives you finger cramps. So
yeah, see. Are there any workouts that you suggest to all the Guardian Druids out there to make sure they're limbered to keep hitting that binding all the time? Anything you would like to throw out there?
Just keep mashing that button. Pain will go away.
Okay. And have you all been tanking before Legion, I guess? Like, what do each of you have in regards to like your tanking background in the game? Like, who's got like the I guess the most experience with it, or is one of you like a new convert to tanking?
I guess I'd say I'm relative. Yeah, yes, previous expansions balance, but Guardian now. So
well, you played balance before. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How about? Fair enough. What about you, Pumps? How about you? You've been tanking this whole time?
Yeah, pretty much. Been tanking since BC. I switched classes a few times. I think I've been Druid since Siege of Orgrimmar now, so it's been a while.
Fair enough. And now you've got to have one of you has to be like the really... Are you the grandpa in all this, Ak? Have you been tanking since the olden days, or...?
No, I think I've played since the end of BC. But I've only tanked since Cataclysm. And I rerolled to Druid after Emerald Nightmare. Poor warriors. Feels bad, man.
Oh, are you playing Prot Warrior before? Ooh.
Well, in Nightmare, yeah.
Yeah. Unless you... 2 weeks. I mean, unless you were lucky enough to get the Rage Bracers early, then you probably felt pretty strong. But if you didn't get those, then yeah, I understand the switch to Guardian. For sure. But... with that then, so Pumps, you have the MMO Champion Guide. What other kind of resources are out there for Guardian that are pluggable? What's out there for them?
Druid Discord for sure. Druid Discord's pretty much got everything, I'd say. Dream Grove. Tank Chat also has the best stuff.
Definitely.
So we have, let me see. Yeah, we have the Guardian Druid guide. You have, where is this? You have this FAQ document. I think this is just something you made for the Guardian Dream Grove. Is that, like, who puts together and curates this one? You've had like rotation things, you have rankings, active mitigation usage, gearing guide. Who puts this all together?
I'd say, well, Vorm is the one who puts that, I believe, has put that spreadsheet together, but most of the different.
Okay.
Like, if you look at parts, I'm sure someone will tell you who did what.
Yeah, I feel, yeah, we hear you. Yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad. It wasn't doing this before we were started.
I'm sorry.
Now it hates us. Bunny's mic is like, I don't want to do it. You also have this legendary guide, which we'll go back through more when we get to legendaries later on. You have like 3 little tabs down here. I don't even know. This is the first one I've seen that has like shapes. Is this some like jab at Guardian players that they need shapes and colors to understand how good things are?
Talking about the DPS graph, the one with the green star and the...
Yeah, for legendaries, yeah.
I don't know why there's shapes, but it's also a tiny bit outdated. New sims are in the works.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But
I am sure that stuff gets rolled together. And then, of course, I have to shout out to at least, like, the... I have the Icy Veins guide brought up here, but we'll be using it just for, like, tooltips and stuff. Is that not... Like, probably this less light in the BTS show, but the Icy Veins guide is not totally like up to snuff for Guardian right now. Would you say?
I can't say I've really read through it.
Yep, same.
It looks it just looks short. When I'm looking
Guardian's
through it.
basics. Sure, you could sum it up pretty quickly. Just Thrash, you know.
Okay, yeah. If anyone's
You
doing
only need one line.
Okay. If anyone's doing a drinking game out there, whenever we say the word Thrash, please don't, because you'll end up. I do not condone, and FinalBossTV does not condone any drinking games, regardless of that word. Please be responsible. And of course, I'll have everything linked in the YouTube video description box with the resources you have here. But of course, on the channel guide that we have here on the channel, you have the links to the Dream Grove if you have not already joined that as it is. But how about, so we just had patch 7.2 on the horizon, and I had to dig back in and find, like, the patch notes to, like, go through all this stuff. Because I thought there was more, but I guess it was only, like, little bits here and there. But pumps, major things happening in 7.2 for Guardian was, like, 7.1.5. You had a ton of Rage nerfs, which you had Rage removed from the base kit and then put on a few talents, but then your artifact stuff got nerfed. You had, like, Pulverize went up to 9% damage reduction from 8. You had Soul of the Forest Rage buff. You had Iron Fur nerfed from 100% to 80%. But like, how did that transition from 7.15 to 7.2 into live now? Like, how does that? Was it enough? I mean, is Guardian still obviously S tier? But how did that all transition for you guys?
It was definitely necessary because the new tier bonuses gave us a lot more rage and just scaling with armor in general, like the Iron Fur nerfs and the armor nerfs, so we didn't get too crazy OP. It kept it all in line pretty much. Nothing too huge.
Is it? I guess it's because you came out of beta that strong, right? I mean, Ak, what did you feel any of these were too much or even like too little to keep Guardian in line?
The changes from Nighthawk basically kept them at the same strength level they were before. If we had kept our rage generation with the new tier bonuses, we were basically permanently armor capped, and that isn't quite that good for balance. So I think it's quite deserved.
Okay. There's nothing, because I can't, when I look at these small rage nerfs, like I have this, they're so tiny but I guess it was all like percentage oriented, right? Like you have, oh gosh, where's my image? There it is. So yeah, bear form auto attack rage went down to 7 flat from 7.875, which why it had that, I don't know. Ironfur nerfed, Galactic Guardian nerfed. Gory Fur, I think I heard was the big one. The rage cost reduction was 25%. It was 50%. That was pretty big. Did you notice or do you feel these at all? Like, does it actually, like, did their percentages of trying to nerf your rage to lower your active mitigation uptime, did it work?
With 4-piece, no, you don't really notice.
I'd say it's
the
very
same
similar.
as before.
Yeah, I'd say it's the same exact thing, actually.
Yeah.
As it was before.
I mean, you get less procs,
because you
but
got the
rage
4-piece.
generation.
Yeah, I just, when I saw these, I didn't think they were big. Like, it didn't seem like it was like, oh no. So, and then you have, I gotta bring this up because this one made me laugh. You had the 7.2, you got damage buffs to do more DPS, yeah. Which Bunny or Pumps, you want to like walk me through what they messed up here? Because
they did this thing where they just front loaded all of our damage into Thrash, and they're just progressively doing it more and more. I don't think they. I really don't understand what the purpose of that is, because our single target is obviously, it's not obviously, but it's slightly behind with the tanks, which is, I believe, was the purpose of those buffs. But then they just somehow increased our AoE with it for some reason. I really don't understand the logic there for those changes.
Yeah, because they nerfed your swipe damage, but then direct damage of Thrash up by 15. And then, of course, on the rise that you were going to get your new traits, so you're going to get another trait in doing more Thrash damage. So I didn't get this at all. I mean, is your damage, going over to Pumps because you get all the rank ones, is your damage like, is it that you said it, you know, Bunny said it's like behind other tanks, but was it that behind that needed all of this?
Single target, yeah, it's probably still a bit behind, like a Pro Paladin, even Pro Warrior, I think still ahead. But the roughly the same damage meme is pretty strong in that buff. It's a mild swipe nerf for a huge Thrash Mangle buff. Someone's got some interesting sims at Blizzard.
You also had like an extra secondary stat added to your chest, Echo Wraith, your legendary, and then something to Oakheart's Puny Quads, or Q-Odes? What is that even legendary's name?
I had to look it up when they first announced it. It's something like prison or something like that. It's supposed to.
Yeah,
It's like just another word that means prison.
Q-Odds. It's the helmet that the Barkskid helmet. So, but yeah, that got a slight bonus. The rage went up, I guess. But
That's the sad hat. So when you get it, you're sad.
It's
puny.
It's called the sad hat. Oh no. Uh-oh. Don't look at that, chat. Don't look at that. That's the wrong button. That's for later. Interesting. They came out of the gate. I did all of this testing back in beta, and I put in hours and hours and hours on each spec for a first and second pass. And while I always thought that the Bear Druid rotation was very simple, but everything they have so many damn cooldowns. But that leads us to what's happening soon, which we have a tentative launch date for Tomb of Sargeras now, right? We have like middle to late June, so which seems fine. Like it'll be like 5-ish months for Nighthold to last. But 7.2.5, big kerfuffle happening right now, because everyone always knows that Guardian Druids are so S tier right now, and you have to have at least one Guardian Druid if you're really serious about progression. If you don't, you're gonna die. But you have changes on the horizon. The biggest one, of course, being Mark of Ursal being removed. So I don't know who wants to tackle. I think Ak wanted to tackle talking about Mark of Ursal first. But
Yeah, I can do it.
So how is this going to impact Bears in the next patch?
So for Nighthold, you'll probably notice it on Crosus and Augur, but I'm pretty sure there's gonna be like a flat 20% nerf to the raid anyway, so not hurt that much. And looking into Tomb, I think there was one boss that was heavy on magic damage, the council fight with the 3 Night Elves, and even that wasn't all that terribly high. Generally in Tomb, there's not much damage, magic damage, and the magic damage that there is not extremely high. That you would really need Mark of Ursul to not die or feel bad about it, since passive damage reduction is already very high on Druids, and yeah, you have all the cooldowns.
It was so weird. And Mark of Ursul was expensive, but it gets cheaper with your artifact. And it has just a rage cost with no cooldown, and it's just a 30% less damage reduction from magic damage for 6 seconds. And on top of everything else that Bears had, I think chat's talking about, so Ariel hasn't even used Mark, like, just don't even use it. I guess you could just take it off your bars right now and just stop using it, right? Let's prepare. Like, it doesn't exist now, just act like it's going away. So, there's so much happening with that, too. I don't know, what else do you guys think about? Are you okay with it leaving, essentially? Like,
I think everyone agrees that we needed some type of nerf some way to our mitigation, and this is what Blizzard chose to do, and I can't really argue with it yet.
What about you, Pumps?
Yeah, it's definitely more balanced. I would have preferred if it was like a cooldown, like Spell Reflect, or like a 50% nerf instead of like a full remove. Now it just feels like you're taking full magic damage and you just maul the boss, and you're like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, well, that's the flip side of this, is that they are, with removing Mark of Ursul, they're putting a ton of damage because you need something to dump Threat on, or dump the Rage on, so they're going to buff the crap out of Maul. But Maul is just damage now. It doesn't have, like, the debuff system that it used to have, so you lose mitigation just to gain more damage. That's their trade-off right now. At least what's on the PTR.
Feels a bit weird.
Which... the silence is just that's the whole point. It just feels weird. It just... I mean...
Yeah. I don't know if they buffed Maul or just changed it, I guess. Doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Previously, they could have just removed it. Even like...
Yeah.
It's not like it before.
Just remove
Let
Maul
the Maul
plus
be
baseline
dark.
damage. Same as before.
It's...
I don't know.
Let me look. On live right now, Maul is at 100% weapon damage on, like, the attack that has it. Do you know what it goes up to on the PTR? It's something ridiculous.
400.
400%?
No, I think it was a 400% buff. I think it's 500% now.
500%, yeah.
But they put it on the GCD.
Well, the
and
problem, it also does have damage now. So you're going
Right.
from hitting for 50k to something that actually is worth casting.
Yeah.
So it actually works, yeah. So it doesn't... 'Cause I assume you don't hit it at all right now, right? There's no point to hit it.
Well, there's no point to using active mitigation, so I can just press Maul, I guess.
Well, that's
Like,
not how it's supposed to work. But gosh, that's such a weird change. I mean, they have a lot. If you're following the patch notes in the PTR cycle right now, the Brewmaster conundrum, which is the other tank that's like A++ right now, right? Like Bear Brewmaster, S tier, A+ tank. You have this. They're getting a ton of attention. The blue posts and the back and forth with Celestalon and the community on those threads are huge. Like, it's paragraphs and paragraphs and pages and pages. And then Bear is just Ursul remove, buff Maul. Do you...
the
is there...
connection between the two isn't really obvious, but I guess it happened. So, I mean, I don't mind the Maul buff. What it has to do with Mark of Ursul, I don't know.
The only other thing I think You have the AM change though that everyone's getting. You won't be able to, like, I guess that doesn't affect Guardian though. Like, you're never gonna actually getting even 3 stacks of Iron Fur would never really add super to the duration though, because it falls off behind the scenes. So that wouldn't even affect you. That affects other
Duration
tanks.
doesn't stack.
Yeah.
It rolls off individually. Yeah.
So nothing else is happening. I guess the question I end here is, do you think that Guardian will stay as strong next tier?
I think it's still gonna be in the top tanks, yeah. If it's the best one, like Untitled, I don't know yet. Like PTR is still a month out. Could just completely butcher the spec, not buff our specs, but right now it looks solid, yeah.
Because I just don't know
for
how.
sure.
Okay, so you guys aren't gonna, like, nothing's gonna happen. You're gonna stay on your Guardians for Chumuf Sargeras. None of you are thinking about changing, right?
I
I
might
was,
go.
Bunny
I
was.
might go
Everyone
for
is.
Glory, yeah.
Everyone was.
Oh,
Well, you're talking to people who re-roll in. So, like, we play whatever's best, I guess. They were in guild that doing that is a good idea. So Guardians 10% worse, you might as well play something.
the rumble I heard was that blood DKs are gonna come out of nowhere and be like the new OP. So
It's a bit overhyped. Like, they're gonna be decent to maybe good, but they're not quite there yet. Like, they need a lot of buffs still. Or well, they need the ability to get the relics for the new trade, and there's just one in the new raid, and that's the only one available for them. So
right.
yeah.
But what about? I mean, what does? So I mean, would Pumps just play Protection Warrior because it does more damage then if that happened?
Oh, maybe. You gotta do the most damage. I think Monk's pretty good, though. I'm enjoying my Monk right now.
I've heard the rotation on Monk is similar though. Like, it's just not fun. Is it okay?
It's real similar to Druid. It's like instead of getting triple Thrash procs with your new thing, you get triple Keg procs. Same thing, you know. Replace Thrash with Keg and you're playing the same class.
Except you're not a man-bear gorilla thing, so you're just a big old panda. Or you could be a gnome, I guess, too. You could be a little gnome. That's up to you, of course. Was there anything else? Oh, I think, Ak, you wanted me to make sure, because if you give more Maul was added to the Gore reset, which resets Mangle. So that...
Yeah.
They nerfed your Rage, though, to make you not have a ton of Rage. But then if they give you another ability that can reset Gore to give you more Mangles to get more Rage, do they think this through?
No, before Maul was not on a GCD, so you could just spam it with Puritation. And now it's going to replace a swipe, which could trigger Gore. So basically it's the same as pressing swipe, just doing more damage. So both have the same proc chance. Just so pressing Maul is not a complete survival loss, aside from a rage use.
Okay. Because I feel like some of the changes that they posted didn't make sense, but that's why I'm asking. I'll bring up the artifact now. Your Claws of Ursoc. I mean, we'll bring up this amazing graphic then that Pumps also made. Wait, not that one. This one. That one's next. Pumps, what's the hierarchy here on these artifact traits? How'd the new traits work out?
The new ones? Pretty good. A double Thrash, you know? Who can say no to more Thrash?
And the order you have listed here is you go the new traits first, which are nice things. Then you go to 2, 3, and 4 color-coded dots for Dig, Bick, DPS. And then you have 5, 6, and 7 for Burr Life, and then the last 3 is just stuff, right? This is just...
Oh, that's Akmandor's picture. Yeah, that one's pretty
This
good.
Axe now, yeah, too, yeah.
Yeah.
But totally accurate, scientifically backed, theory crafted, and math crafted up, right? This is how it's supposed to be?
Yeah, it goes from strongest magnitude of Thrash increases to lowest. so I'd call it correct. Like if you're just looking to put 42 points in your weapon, just go with a black row. If you're going to put 43 anyway in, so I guess get the red dot first, the flash damage. Slightly better because it'll take you some time to get positive outlook.
There's time till you get them. And there is a lot of traits that just give you damage on your... I guess all the tank artifacts were kind of like that. I mean, you get Barkskin cooldown reduction, you get some additional iron fur and stuff like that, but a lot of it is just like, here's more damage. Healing from frenzied regen. I guess that seems fine. Where are you guys at with your artifacts right now? Do you none of you have concordance yet, do you?
Oh, so close. 51, like 400 mil of concordance.
Oh, really? That's close.
Just barely at 49. Didn't really farm much.
Right. We were hoping that Tomb of Sargeras isn't balanced for having, like, as I click, hit clear and concordance, like, we're gonna have 20 points in concordance to progress on Mythic. Okay. 99.
If only concordance did anything.
Well, right. I mean, or the fact, you know, it's in the billions of artifact power as it goes through. I mean, check and see the billions and billions tallying up here. Like, your first point is marginal, like, it makes sense, but after that, it just gets silly. It just gets absolutely silly. Was there anything else to note on these, on new artifact traits or anything like that, like, is there a relic priority? Do you honestly just get, I dare not ask, but do you just get Thrash relics, or do you go for...
Yeah, you do. Get all the Thrash.
There's free Thrash relics in the raid. Wizard knows what they're doing.
You don't prioritize, like, the frenzied regen relics?
Our best defensive trait is Ursoc's Endurance, so the right side, or the bottom side, bottom of the artifact. It's way better defensively than all the other ones, but
oh, the duration of Barkskin Iron Fur, yes. Mark of Ursol?
But who needs that? You can have Thrash.
Ursoc's Endurance, okay.
Ursoc's Endurance was nice to have Iron Fur and Mark of Ursol up at the same time, but no, there's no Mark of Ursol. I guess you're just gonna stick with, like, roughly 2 stacks of Iron Fur and call it, because, like, the third stack is a bit overkill.
Right. And again, you know, Mark of Ursol... Oh, go ahead.
It's great, but yeah, I think it's just a bit too much. You don't need that much damage reduction. Like, I don't think you ever will.
Okay. Doesn't Frenzied Regen has 2 charges base, right? So you have 3 now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Ridiculous. Like, do you even? And that's what the chat was talking about earlier. Like, do you even need Mark of Ursol? You take spell damage. Just throw down a Frenzy Regen. Heals for the damage you just took. Well, at least a huge chunk of it. How much percentage does it actually heal for now? Because you get another stack of Wild Flesh, too. What's the snapshot on how much it heals for?
It's over 100% for me.
What?
Like, in my Go Down Progress gear, without the new traits, I think it was barely above 100%.
Yeah, he means over of his health. Meaning it heals for your entire health over 3 seconds every time you click it base.
Yeah, you heal for more than the damage you took. Like if you took a 100k hit, you would heal for 110k or something. It's pretty good.
How does the math of that work out? Because it's up to 50% of all damage taken in the last 5 seconds.
It's more that, like, you know, you're taking damage and you're just passively receiving heals and stuff like that. And
sure,
the time you need the heals, it's already heals you more than your. So you're just.
So you have the 50% from the ability, and you have 20% in the artifact, which puts you to 60%. Then you have from Guardian of Loon, one of the talents that buffs the use of Frenzy Regeneration by 20% as well, putting you to roughly 72%. Yeah. Then you have Mastery as well, like 15 to 20% in good defensive gear. And Versatility then again, and that's putting you to roughly 100% of damage take.
Yeah, that's
it basically scales with everything. So
yeah, that's what I was going to ask about too. So your mastery, Nature's Guardian, increases max health and healing received, and then of course attack power. But the healing received, that just amplifies the amount that it would have healed you for, flatly. But then how does that work with versatility? Do they both get their own stack of like how much they give you, or do they both just add together and then multiply, or like how? There's a lot of
the mastery works of the heal receive. It doesn't work with versatility itself. It doesn't scale.
Okay.
So you just increase the heal of Frenzied Region, and then you get another like 20% heal, depending on how much mastery you have in relation to how big your Frenzied Region was.
That seems really, really powerful. And 3 stacks of it. We're not even talking about tier 20 yet. So, huh. And then I guess, you know, Pumps was excited that your new Golden Dragon was just that Thrash has a 15% chance to trigger an additional Thrash with positive outlook.
And it can proc off itself as well. So you can get 3 or 4 or 5.
Really? What?
Yeah. In one Thrash.
The monk ones can too. You could just... Someone did the math on how many, what the chance to like one-shot the artifact challenge was. Like 1 to negative 76 power or some shit like that.
It doesn't say that in the tooltip. It says Thrash has a 15% chance to trigger an additional Thrash. But because, now that I assume that additional Thrash is just called Thrash, that Thrash has a 15% chance.
Yeah, exactly.
But then the next Thrash you hit on the next global oh god, Blizzard, why?
Yeah, you could technically have multiple chain procs running at the same time, but the chances are astronomically low. If you ever get that happen, make sure you make a video of it.
Does it animate? Like,
yes, it does.
Oh yeah, animations go
to some extent. I had my animation freeze sometimes to like white gooey stuff, but then I pop incarnation and have 100% haste, and sometimes that doesn't work out too well.
Wait, it turned into white gooey stuff. What?
Yeah, like this. The thing is, the model has 2 different attack animations: one for right swipe, one for left swipe.
Oh.
And when you attack so fast that it basically wants to do both animations at the same time, your model freezes and you lose all your textures, and yeah, looks kind of funky.
That's just with the new bear model, or the original one, or the
Yeah, with the new one.
Okay, with the new one. I mean, every bear that has the new one is probably going to have this on for at least the next tier before they get tired of your stubby little no leg day legs, but that's fair enough. So that all seemed like it really worked well. I have to bring up Pump said in the BTS podcast, which if you go listen to that later on today, if you're on Patreon, you can hear a little bit of the salt mine that developed because of Moonfire. But apparently, Bunny, you're a proponent for the whole Moonfire side of things, and he's not really. So
I don't have the bracers. if that's exactly.
You still don't have the bracers?
Is
of course
why?
not, dude.
Oh my god. 2017.
I mean, how many? Come on now, you could farm Legion Fall resources, spam the recompense boxes, get on those bracers. Now, come on. But is that why you're not like the Church of Thrash yet, Bunny, and that's why you still
pretty much.
Oh.
I've still been running it actually now with the positive. It's just too powerful now. So it's like you can't like say no. You know what I mean? If you do, you're just playing quick.
The bracers. Let me double check to make sure I have the right math on them. It's damage and radius of Thrash by 25% for bear, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. The 75% is for kitty cats. Even though the tooltip, I gotta make sure chat can see this too. Like, look at, I don't know why the database has the tooltip listed like this, but they broke something. But I did this on the Feral Druid show last week. It says it freaking 4 times. And it says the bear one 3 times, and then the cat one once. But it doesn't say bear or cat. Right.
When they go feral affinity.
Right. No, that's true. But that's... Yeah. It's just totally broken. I don't know why they coded it like that, but that's one of the things that they do themselves, I suppose. So outside of that, some general discussion for Bear, things that came through from Discord is, I guess, artifact overall effect is fine, but this is sort of from your perspective then. I'll go over to Pumps on this one first. I mean, go around the table. So, like, what's your other co-tank in your rating? And then, like, why is the Guardian Druid style or archetype of tanking so much stronger than the other 5 tanks? Barring, I guess,
my co-tank is a Proc Paladin. It's pretty good for deeps, mainly, and like utility, Magic Bop, and Hand of the Protectile Feeling and stuff. I think Guardian is just like so built for tanking. In terms of like, you can do all the deeps in your full deeps gear and do all the bosses in full deeps gear and still be a good tank, not get crushed entirely. And then if you really need it, you put on the tanking gear and you go in, dude. You go on the Gul'dan.
Well, that's what... I'll toss it over to Ak. You said before that you did defensive gear for your Gul'dan Mythic, but then you just turned around and did, like, DPS gear, and nothing changed.
Yeah, in rekills, I just swapped to DPS gear. Yeah, I mainly ran the survival gear for progress because the damage wasn't really that relevant. Like, if you didn't fuck up in phase 3, and it basically was a free kill with the 4 orbs up. So, the less I can be an issue at all is just better. Like, in rekill, I just went for DPS gear because, well, his rekill doesn't matter. Maybe we wipe once. If it doesn't work, I swap back, but it just worked out fine.
Do you think that's... Is that okay? Like, Bunny, what are your thoughts on this? Is it okay that you can focus so much on just doing damage, and then you're just so innately built to tank that you don't have to like worry about the tankiness?
I think it's definitely a change, you know, from how tanking's like been designed in the past. But I mean, obviously, I have nothing wrong with it. You just don't have to use your mitigation. Honestly, as a druid right now, it's very few situations. You click your button, play the game. You might as well be a DPS that has aggro.
It's so weird to me. I've been playing melee DPS for so long, so I don't have like that understanding of how that works and how much it's changed because they've changed it. They changed the paradigm in MOP. They try to change it again in Warlords. They changed it again in Legion. So I don't know. And I guess the back thing, and I keep picking on Pumps because he talked about how blah 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 all the damage, but the cat weaving thing has always been a thing with Guardian. Is cat weaving still a thing to do damage, or you just stay bear form?
It's definitely kind of still a thing, but it's getting phased out almost entirely. Like in the first 2 tiers this expansion, it was huge, like a 30% deeps increase, but now it's like barely a 5% at that. And if you get good RNG with your extra Thrash procs, then it's going to be a deeps loss. So most people just run Incarn and just play normal bear single target.
I think on a regular single target fight, you could get like 10% more DPS, but with the way we have constantly been buffing Mangle and Thrash, swapping into cat form isn't that much of a gain anymore. If you have the legendary Feral Ring, I think it's Shadow, yeah, and like it gets a lot better, but I think it's still worth to do it, and it's still a noticeable increase, but it's not mandatory. Like on some bosses, you just can't do it because you're either tanking the entire time or
right.
The fight mechanics don't allow it.
Yeah. So if you got the cat ring, you'd wear it to give you no benefit in bear form, but then when you swap the cat because you have feral affinity, it works the same for, but only in cat form.
Yeah, you get the increased energy regeneration and max energy.
Right.
Druids have a lot of that.
Yeah, basically half your best legendaries and 9 other specs. That's like really feels Batman.
Yeah, that comes up sometimes with how legendaries aren't so specific that they are only for that spec, and they loot for one, but another can use it. And they're not the general ones. We're not talking like Pridas or Sefus. We're talking about like that they loot for X spec, but Y can still use it just fine. That happens with hunters, happens a little bit with mages, a little bit with warlocks even. Like you want, like Destro wants an affliction legendary or something like that. That's, hopefully they learn from that system and don't bring it back. But
those are definitely very much part of that problem. But almost all of our best in slot legendaries can be gotten in other specs or are from other specs in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's silly. But I guess, are there any major bugs? I think I asked you this last night when we were prepping, but any major bugs or awkward tomfoolery with Guardian right now that are still busted or have recently shown up? Anyone have anything?
Nothing major. Always
Not
just a
that I
little
know
minor.
of.
Nothing? I mean, that's good, because you can go to other specs and they can give you a laundry list of things that are broken still. So, but that's...
I mean, it took us about 3 weeks into the tier to get our tier set fixed. Our 4-piece was a mitigation loss for quite a while at the start of about 3 or 4 weeks for you'd actually lose mitigation randomly, pretty much.
You lose mitigation?
Yeah, just delete the stacks of your Iron Fur randomly. So that wasn't good.
Okay, that seems fine.
But it just took it away from those. They were just gone.
Okay.
There was a few bugs early on, but they're mostly fixed now. I think Bunny's favorite bug was the braces one.
Oh, yeah. Or, you know how you were talking about how the bracers had the 75% for Pharaoh and 25% for Guardian. It glitched for quite a while, a couple weeks, where you could just get the effect 75% of the Guardian.
I mean, because, yeah, the Feral show last week talked about the same thing. Is because it's called the same spell for bears and for cats and for when you take the affinity. So what they think was going to happen when they made a legendary effect the same spell, but for multiple specs? Like, why? They should just call it something different. No? Like a different name, maybe? So it wouldn't have this problem? But...
That's just classic Blizzard spaghetti code. Happens all the time.
Yeah. It comes up on the show quite often that we kind of just like get used to it now, which is not a good thing. We don't want to get used to that, but it does happen. And I guess the last one... Oh, go ahead.
I like bugs that buff my spec, so if I could just make Bear Bracers to 75% again, that would be great.
But, you know...
It's the day I quit raiding.
Yeah, we need more of it. So, Pumps and Ack are both in their man bear gorilla skins, and Bunny, you have the skin, right? I would assume.
Yes.
So
took some nerfs, but I got it.
Oh, I mean they I don't know. This is when Pumps said I one-shot it. So, and Pumps?
Took me 20 attempts, but
oh,
the
okay.
was pretty useful.
Okay. We had that on the Resto Druid show where Torty was just like, I one-shot it. What was it? Okay. So, but the High Lords return. You guys have to defeat Cruel with the help of Velen and one of your other little friends there doing quote-unquote damage. But yeah, how'd that all work out? I don't know, Ack, what did you think of the High Lords return artifact challenge for a bear?
I think the tuning was okay, but the way the mechanics worked out was a complete mess with like 90% of the challenge being completely bugged. So as that, like, the eyes you have to look into so they don't knock you off a platform. Sometimes will just, well, I think they still just knock you off even if you look at them, which isn't quite intended. And what else? Velen randomly not doing stuff. And like for an entire day where I was trying the challenge, it wasn't spawning any heal offs in phase 2 at all, which wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
still randomly despawning when you get into phase 2. So, like the tuning in itself was fine. On the coding end, it's a total mess. I don't know. The design, I don't think the design is that great either. Like phase 1, you look at ice and DPS the boss every 30 seconds or so, depending on how your talents are, or you just burn him down with Incarnation and wait 1 minute for it to be ready in phase 2 again. And when you use Lust in phase 2 and kill the boss, I don't know. I don't think it was really catered to tank design. I guess the challenge was fine in being a challenge, but it wasn't really a tank challenge.
Yeah, they put so much DPS requirement on it, and even just again on like Tuesday or Wednesday, they nerfed the HP again for Prot Paladin, because Prot Paladins could just last so much longer that they didn't need to care about. They could just eventually do the damage they needed to do for it, which I guess in Legion tank damage matters, but when it was so focused on DPS. I mean, I'm sure they'll do the DPS one here, right? You're the one that toting that badge. Was it fine from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good tuned. And originally they said it would be tuned for like tomb gear or like at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I was 9:13 I think, or 9:12 when I did it. And it didn't take me that long. I don't know. They did kind of cave a bit and nerfed it pretty hard, and now it's pretty chill. I think everyone has it, or most people. If you're like 900 plus, I think you can do it pretty easily.
Yeah. I think most of the nerfs to tuning were because this challenge just doesn't work. So,
yeah,
I mean, a lot of people that aren't exactly top tier probably feel really bad when they just get their attempts cancelled when the mechanics don't work out. So, yeah, I guess it's reasonable to nerf it then, but I don't know. I don't think it was tested much because bugs were so obvious, and basically you couldn't go through one attempt without noticing one. So I don't know what they did there.
Yeah, like tuning aside, if certain mechanics weren't working, that is a huge problem. I've only done Enhancement and Havoc, so 2 different DPS ones. I'm probably gonna try Elemental today or tomorrow when I have time, and see what that one is like. Try all the different DPS ones over time, but they're, I don't know. It took some nerfs for you, Bunny. So did you get it more recently, getting it, or?
Yeah, I got it a couple weeks ago, but the previous nerfs. But it's just tuned in a weird way where all the other ones for other specs, like DPS ones, people are actually one-shotting. That tank ones actually required playing the game. You know, I guess you could say like they're much more difficult. But something else, but just how it ended up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Compared to the DPS ones, the tanks one were really a lot harder. Like, I did the Feral one recently, like last week. Basically, when I did the challenge, it was the first time I actually played the spec, and I still got it down relatively quickly, so I don't know. I don't think you could have done that with a tank challenge if you didn't know how to play the spec.
Right. Yeah, I have my Demon Hunter, on Havoc, I did it in like, I don't know, 14, 15 pulls or so. But I don't know if I was able to even do the Vengeance version, just to do the tank challenge as Vengeance. Because my gear is like the exact same. I just basically swapped to Vengeance than I have. But I don't know if I could do it because I don't play enough tanking to probably get all the nuance to get it down. I'll eventually try it, I'm sure, but I'll have to wait and see. But that one definitely had the most tumultuous nature of it. The healing one had some nonsense because sometimes your NPCs would just like kill themselves. Maybe.
That's not good.
Yeah, so there's that. But
Bugs all over.
You'd think, though, because they had these in the works for so long, they would have been internally tested a ton, right? Like the designers or the QA people would have been doing them and getting them to make sure they were set. But there's obviously been.
So.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that was the case. It certainly didn't look like it. Or maybe they just put some weak out builds on the live servers and just deleted the working version, so we have to refix it again. I don't know.
Well, we saw that when 7.1.5 came out, or 7.2, one of the two, or both, when they built this architecture, they built the patch structure on probably an older patch. So when they dropped the new patch and all of a sudden Guaram did that knock-up when he charged you, which he never did before. So when you did Mythic Guaram again, and then he knocks you up 50 yards into the air, you're like, what is this mechanic? Or when, like, all these old things all of a sudden popped up. Or Helia went back to casting a lot of her debuffs when it was obviously cut back down. They have to, like, re-put in these hotfixes. So that definitely happens. Where they plop in a game version that's live, but it was being built on an older patch. They had to, like, re-hotfix what was in that. Again, spaghetti code, I suppose.
Yeah, and all the nice Nighthold bugs that I still have no idea how they even got that broken.
The invisible rings on Elisand and stuff.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, we completely busted all projectile abilities in the game.
Yep. When we did Mythic Il'gynoth that week, the AoE from killing the eyeball at phase 1 did not hit the inside eye, so it would just be at 100% health, not 66%. In that week, like, I don't know what they just messed up. It seemed.
Okay.
Whoops.
I don't know how that happens. I mean, the game is huge, right? Obviously, but there is some pitfalls in all of that. But I think that's everything for the first chunk of the show. So I will keep moving us right along here with some things to plug here in the middle. And again, to thank the assistant producers. I have to do this because I don't know when people are going to watch the YouTube version. So I want to make sure that I thank the assistant producers of the show on Patreon. So for Truffles, Ludovicus, Tazelid, R4, Dalthir, and Tachanori, thank you to the continued support to keep the show rolling. And if you want more podcasts, you want more of me interviewing nerds about this silly game, and maybe more things in the future as the show expands to include some more community, guest-oriented that aren't only World of Warcraft, you can go check out the Patreon link down below. You can get the show notes. You can get the BTS shows. I mean, there's the Feral Druid show. It's an extra hour and 12 minutes. You get up to 3 or 4 of these every month. There's the Restoration Druid one is down here, and it keeps going and going and going. The Balance one's right down there. You can just hit load more, and if you were a patron, you could check those out as well. We got the Vengeance one. We had Havoc as well. We had the Holy Discipline Priest show. We had the Shadow Priest one. They're all right down there, and they're only for patrons. So you can go check those out. And again, if you've missed the live shows, then all these are cut and uploaded to YouTube. They're seasoned as years. So the Final Boss 2017 season, which we're currently in right now, you can check out all the shows that are right there on the front page. You can go check out the 2016 shows as well, if you want to go back in time and check those out. The World First interviews, of course, are there. And if you want to go even farther back, then please feel free to do that. I mean, this is one of the best episodes I think I've ever made before. The year-end special with Brutal Coltrane and Novel, that was fantastic. Those are all listed right there, as well as the past broadcasts. Some of the people have been telling me they've gone back to like old episodes in Warlords or MOP just to listen to what the classes were talking about at the time and to see how different the game has come. So, like, I have a dev interview here with Ian Hazacostas 2 years ago. This one has some gems. In it. But those are all listed on the YouTube channel. But if you want to support the stream and the show in a more physical manner and support the artists that I work with so I can keep making things with those artists, you can go check out the official apparel store at Design by Humans, linked down below. The commemorative shirts that we put together for the World First are here. You can get one of these and blame Spaghetti Code on this in particular Sparkle Dragon, or of course pick up a Little Final Boss by Fabelina, because I mean, look at Arthas, look at him. And then the new design we had here for Exorcist is Mythic World First Gul'dan, which is not tied to the guild anymore. It's just this really cool Demon Within, Illidan Skull motif cutaway. So you can go check those out. Links down below. If you're watching on YouTube, links will be in the description box with all the other resources we'll talk about on the show here today. But that's enough about me, blabbing about my show here. Let's talk about stats and things, and tier sets, and get into the nitty gritty and some Q&A at the end of it. So, stat-wise, Ak, what do bear druids prioritize besides Thrash for stats?
Defensively, versatility and mastery. Versatility is just a slightly bit better than mastery, but roughly the same stat from how they work, like in EHP terms. Like if you get to like 50% of either, the other one gets a lot better than the other, but you don't get 50% versatility or 50% mastery. So basically, look out for those stats. If you have items with them, they're good. For DPS, you go for haste and versatility. There's a small, I don't want to call it a breakpoint, but let's call it a breakpoint at this point. At 25%, where you can comfortably fit in free Thrash in one Rage of a Sleeper, which is especially good for AoE, but yeah. Basically, versatility mastery for defensive gear and haste versatility for pure bear. And if you want a cat reef, you want versatility and crit. That's pretty much it.
Does Thrash have? I mean, you say because haste versatility. That's just because of the global cooldown reduction. Because Thrash obviously has no cooldown like inherent to it.
Thrash has a 6-second cooldown. It's reduced by haste.
Oh, reduced by haste 6 seconds. Okay, I was mixing up tooltips when I was looking over here on the.
Swipe has no cooldown.
Swipe has no cooldown. Correct. There you go. There we go. So the cooldown reduction is, like you said, to fit in Rage of the Sleeper enough. Okay. Because you only get... How long is... There's no...
It lasts 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Do you have... How, like... Yeah, these are the breakpoints or feel good points. What do you do for... So gems and enchants then? This is all... I guess agility on your enchants, then versatility. And versatility gems then? Would be like best...
Yeah. I mean, you could technically gem haste if you wanted to, but the DPS gain isn't that big, and the survival loss is a lot bigger, so I don't recommend it. Just go for versatility gems, and the one agility gem if you want it.
Neck enchant have anything in particular? Do you go for the tank neck enchant, or...?
Barely. Like, just unintentional, but...
it just kind of came out there.
Yeah. It's definitely the best tanking enchant for physical damage, but as I said, I don't really use defensive gear, and
I don't think anyone really uses it honestly anymore. It's
the
way armor is.
Hidden Satyr is like 1 to 2% more damage, and well, if you can get 1 to 2% damage for free just for a neck enchant, just take it.
What was that, Bunny, about armor?
Because the heavy hide is armor, and armor doesn't multiply with Iron Fur, so like passive armor on abilities and items and stuff like that is not as good for us as it is for most classes.
It's like an extra amount, but it doesn't increase what gets increased by. Okay.
Iron. So when we have 40,000 armor stacks or whatever, gaining another 2,000 is obviously not as effective for us as it is for warrior who has 7,000 armor.
Okay. Okay. I think it's listed that the Dark Moon deck trinket is still pretty useful, but that's just because it stacks so much armor, I take it?
It's more that the rest of the trinkets are bad.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, okay.
It's like there's barely any good trinkets, and the armor trinket like barely pulls ahead of the other ones, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's frustrating. Are there... Well, I was looking at your armories, and 2 of you had on a DPS trinket, the agility and like the Karazhan, it's the orb that flies out trinket. So I guess you just kind of wear, in that sense, almost DPS trinkets too then.
Yeah,
but...
like we would have used Nighthawk once, but this Blizzard decided to just nerf them by 50% for tank specs week 2. So yeah, that was it. Back to farming stat sticks from Garm and Mythic Plus.
Yeah,
that's pretty disappointing. Not getting any raid deeps trinkets from, raid.
I didn't understand it at all. Like, why they would do it.
Well, I guess you could loot the Arcana Golem Digit and just have more swipe animations and more to add to your, you know, kerfuffle of claws and blood flying around you. It's a little purple swipe, but I mean, you can do that.
Yeah.
So.
But it does barely any damage. So
That's true.
Really feels bad.
Its RPPM is really low. Yep. And then I guess I had a note on here about mastery, and like bear mastery on paper looks really powerful, but you just didn't really prioritize any like crazy stacking point for it. Is it like a get this amount and then like don't worry about it, or anything that goes wrong with mastery, or is it just kind of like if you get it on these pieces and but it looks like you want to prioritize versatility way more than mastery, right? Or where is there a tipping point there or a balancing point at all?
It's around 10,000 combined stats. When you have about 10,000 combined versatility and mastery, there's a bunch of macro did on it. Moderator. But basically, once you reach a certain point of mastery and versatility is always better.
Okay. Even after
in terms of effective health, everything.
Okay. Apparently,
it's effective health are basically the same stat. With versatility, and the way it works, it doesn't have any DR on it. How many percent you get for stat points, and in a way that it reduces damage. Every point is better than the point before. So basically, the more you have of versatility, the better the stats get itself. So yeah. I mean, optimally, you want to have basically a 50-50 split of versatility and mastery percentage-wise. Just in the way they multiply each other basically for EHP. But just get as much of both as you can. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no really a set amount you want of either. You just want it.
All right. That's... I was wondering about that sort of thing. Because there's... At least when we did the Vengeance show, they had a lot of different things I wanted to get. Because I wanted this much of haste, and then like crit moves up, and then like versatility is good, and then the mastery is like meh. So they tank stats are weird like that. Usually DPS we have your best and you're right behind, and then you maybe have your primary stat. For some reason it always falls below secondaries now, even after the secondary change. And then you have your two crap secondaries you don't care about at all because they're 20+% more weaker per point. So that's different. So that makes sense. I mean, there's a lot caked into tank mastery. That's why I was curious. So, but anything else? You wrote the big old guide for Guardian. Anything on stats that needs to be added to that, Pumps, or could it talk about tier stats?
Just get like the basic stats, verse haste. There's no real breakpoints for anything. About 24%, 25% haste for rage thrashes. And then just as much verse as you can get. It gives you the big deeps. Okay.
Yeah, that came up in chat about, like, is it true you need 25% haste to play bear effectively? And the tagline was...
Not. It's a nice bonus.
It's not important.
If you have it, you have it. If you don't, well, yeah. Don't have it then.
It's not
like dropping like 20 item level just to get the haste.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, there's always misconceptions. People always think like, well, such and such crazy endgame mythic raider his gear looks like this. Do I have to have that too? So if there is something to dispel there, they're going to dispel it. So, all right.
Guardians have the weird thing where armor is just amazing for us defensively. So just whatever has higher eye level tends to be the best choice most of the time. It's
okay.
Not like stats thing.
So your tier 19, which you're running right now, guard with the Astral Warden. 2 pieces, your abilities have a 10% chance to trigger gore, additional 10% chance to trigger gore. And your 4 pieces, your Mangle, reduces the cost of your next Iron Fur, Mark of Versal, well, for now anyway, or Frenzy Regen by 5 rage up to 2 stacks, so up to 10 rage off. So they nerf your rage generation, but then even right now with your 4-piece, they give you rage reductions with Mangle, and you have more chances to proc gore, But then you have the artifact one that also reduces the rage cost of Iron Fur and Frenzied So what... This now ties up our earlier topic about how you don't feel the rage nerfs, I suppose. How did Tier 9 work out then, Pumps? Just... That's what it
you
is?
definitely didn't feel the rage nerfs after that.
There's no...
Oh.
Is there any interplay with the 4-piece, though? Do you ever use the 4-piece stacks on something specifically, or do you just sort of...
Not really. I don't even track them, actually.
Oh. Well, that's...
I think
Just like
that's a general
free
thing.
lens.
You just let it happen, you know?
No,
Yep.
okay.
And it works on all your active mitigation abilities, so whatever you use, it consumes the stack, so...
Right. Yeah. It's going to feel... It may feel weird because of how, with Ursol gone and Tier 20 on the horizon, which we'll bring this up next because this is what's on the horizon to change things. You talked about eye level. Just to dispel this, there's no shenanigans that Bear Druids are looking at wearing 2-piece Tier 19 and 4-piece Tier 20, right? It's too much eye level loss for stats and armor and stuff, I assume, and hope.
Yeah, definitely.
2 pieces.
The 2-piece is not that good either.
Okay. Well, I mean, the Stormheart Raiment, which you're getting in Tier 20 into Miss Lagaris, barring if they change anything, is that it's very, very Frenzy regen focused, which feels like a huge band-aid / stabilization because they're taking away Mark of Ursol. But you've got 3 stacks of Frenzied Regen, keep that in mind. And your 2-piece will, Frenzied Regen triggers up to a 40% reduced cooldown when used based on current health. The lower your health when you use it, the more cooldown reduction on that usage of Frenzied Regen. And then your 4 pieces, the cooldown of Frenzied Regen is reduced by 1 second for every 20 rage you spend. So, at first blush, though, you have 3 stacks of Frenzied Regen, but now they have extra cooldown reduction and rage equals cooldown reduction. So, is it too much? Are you supposed to be spamming Frenzied Regen like over and over and over again? Like on almost every other ability, essentially? Like what have you guys figured out for this so far? Ak, Pumps, Bunny, anyone who's dived into this yet?
Oh, Tier's good.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
It has, like, the region in itself is, I think, 22 or 24% baseline cooldown. And I think the way the 2-piece is going to work is that if you're basically dead when you use it, you get the 40% reduction.
Right.
You probably can get down to 25%, 20% safely before using it, because basically a full heal anyway in the 5-second window.
Well,
you definitely use Frenzied Regen a lot more. Like, it's definitely strong, but I don't think you're going to press it too much. I think PTR testing is up right now. I don't know if the set vendor is up. I think I'll look into this the next couple of days when I can. But I think it's just a nice bonus. Like 4-piece currently is very strong as well. And Frenzied Regen obviously is better than Iron Fur against magic damage, but there's not a lot of magic damage coming. So, well, no, it's just a good set bonus.
It's just that Frenzied Regen's base cooldown is only 24 seconds, unless anything else is affecting it. So
yeah, haste is affecting, yeah.
Right. Just like the base cooldown. But even just the rage you're going to be spending, like how much overall rage do you spend in a minute? Because every 20 of that is 1 second off an FR charge. And it almost looks like you're going to have to like keep up with spending them, otherwise you're just wasting the cooldown reduction, which is kind of... I mean, what are you looking at putting in your guide about this?
And I haven't exactly mapped out how good the set is, because basically it was obvious that you're going to use it, so... So looking in our first... Damn.
Because that's the question that I was curious about, because if you're spending, X rage a minute, that is, divided by 20, how many seconds you're going to keep shaving off frenzied regen. So that's why I was wondering about like how you'd almost just like want to keep it rolling to a degree. You won't need to save it for anything. If it's like this permanent, huge hot on yourself all the time, because you're going to be building and spending rage anyway.
It's
So
definitely
looking
good
at-
to keep one charge off cooldown.
Yeah, definitely. Like you don't want to overcap it anyway. Like in
Right.
having one stacked for all shit things, it's like basic an LOH on demand. So yeah, you want to have it
Yeah.
ready. But if looking at my Gul'dan log on the first kill, I get around 220 rage a minute. So basically an extra charge a minute. Is it right? No. Half a charge a minute. Roughly. Which is okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's a lot of...
From a
that's,
4-piece, at least. Like, if you
Yeah.
work at the 2-piece together, you're probably gonna get... Oh no, let me lie on this. Like, I guess like 2 frenzied regions more each minute if you would use it on cooldown, more or less.
yeah, it's a lot. And that's... The one thing that I've seen that Blizzard has been designing set bonuses right now is that you either have... Like a set bonus right now in tier 19 that's focused on your 2 and your 4 set on one ability. Very, very close to one ability. Like mine, for example, it's Stormbringer gets more crit for Storm Strike resets, and then Lava Lashes give me more Stormbringer resets. Very, very, very focused on one thing. Versus the other side is that both set bonuses are disconnected completely. And that sort of is the back and forth. If you have a tier 19 that is double connected, or a tier 20, and they just flip-flopped how that works for specs, which I don't know if that's... Because sometimes when you see that you have a 2 and a 4 piece focusing on one thing, it almost props that one thing up way too much, and I wonder about it's why I talk about how basically your tier 20 is all FR focused. And Druids are already so strong, and what if they're self-healing themselves for 50% or more of their HP almost all the time? So we'll see. They might reduce that a little bit, because again, still in testing. But Pumps, what are you thinking of adding to your guide about this? Have you done any dabbling to think about what you would be amending when you get this in the next couple of months?
I think it's just like a free bonus, because you'll use the tier anyway. The stats are all kind of close-ish. You can get 4 good pieces for sure. But Frenzy is definitely going to be pretty strong. Now Ursul's gone, you'll just take the damage and heal it all back real quick. Be nice.
It's sad that the set looks so good, and you're not going to see it. That's what we talked about with Feral Druids last week, is that you get this super cool new like Black Temple gear set, essentially, all high res with the crazy popping out head and the elks and the moonkin face, and you're just not really gonna ever see it because you're gonna be a big old gorilla bear. But it does look pretty good. You can check out all of these models on MMO Champions Tier 20 tab for the patch 7.2 if you want to look at them. You can make them walk around and cast spells and see how they animate. All the different colors, of course, are here as well for everything. This is the Mythic set, the Mythic or the Gladiator, or the highest tier PvP version will have the special pop out scary face kind of deal. Do you guys like your new tier set? And again, you're not going to see it. But
I think it looks great, personally.
Yeah, looking good.
it is super neat. Again, just you're a bear, so you're not even going to see it. But we've touched on legendaries and trinkets a little bit. Is there like a tier list? I'm going to bring back up this crazy document here. Do you know how to like walk me through this to some degree, just to see like what's happening here with legendaries and the hierarchy that you guys have figured out for Guardian?
Are you looking at the funny graph or the FAQ?
Well, the FAQ is here, but I also have the graph. So I mean, is the graph not something that you really need to work on anymore, or?
I think there's a new graph coming out.
Oh.
personally don't really like this one. It's just all over the place, but basically just math confirmation, which is like you don't really need the numbers, you just need to know which one is better and which one basically proves which one is better. So, and what the FAQ says is basically what the sheet has worked out, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just use the FAQ. Like what it says is correct in most cases.
This is
most of the
oh, go ahead.
Most of the defensive legendaries are very situational and very strong in some situations and not that strong in others. So you have the dual determination ring, which gives you another stack of survival instincts, which is not like definitely very strong to have another charge of your shield wall ability, but if you don't need it, it's basically not very good for that encounter.
Yeah, because you have like 4 different sort of break points with talents and things here, and then you have, you know, Bear BIS gear for Nighthold, but it's just eye level based. Then the rankings for legendaries, you have, you know, for defense, you have Mythic Plus, you have DPS for single target, you have DPS for cat weaving. These 4 different breakpoints here, and the one thing that I wanted to make sure I brought up is that you have Velen's future sight listed. Is that actually? Is that
it's
actually
a lot of stats? It's a lot of stats. That's all it is.
Does that actually?
It has main stat, yeah, for all 3. It has strength, intellect, and agility on it, depending on which spec you are. So basically, just an eye level 940 stat stick, which is just basically the best you can get in itself.
But like the healing on you doesn't work for Bear, right? It's just this huge stat stick. Is that all it's for?
It works for frenzy overhealing, doesn't it?
Does it?
I don't know.
I haven't tested it myself. I'm going for the resto ones next, but I'm pretty sure if it works for frenzy overhealing, there's some potential there. If you shotgun all 3 charges real quick after taking all the damage, like you can do like a little bit of a raid cooldown, maybe like 10 mil, 15 mil. Something.
Well,
not that bad.
That's what I'm wondering, especially because of the tier 20 we just talked about, and that situation. Like, I mean,
that's the next legendary I'm going for right now.
I know, Blizzard. We'll have to. It works on French region overhealing, but it's not on the list because of this. It's on the list because of the stats. I don't know. I mean, frenzied regen, you'd have to finagle it, but if that becomes a thing, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the top guilds will figure out all this nonsense because they've got so much time to farm legendaries now before Tomb comes out. So, but I that kind of stuff. We all lived in the age where the tanks had like the raid cooldown set bonuses, and those were way
dragons.
Yeah, way too good. But the overall one, you have at least Icy Veins lists chest and boots as like top 2 for like survivability, and then DPS looks like loofah wrappings and. Is that Elize or Elize's the pants?
Elise.
Is it Elise? Okay.
That's what most people call it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it makes sense, right? More damage and radius with Thrash, and more stacks with Thrash. So that's pretty straightforward on those.
There's some other ones that are worth mentioning, like the belt, Sefu's, KJ's. They're all pretty good. It's like fight dependent.
Well, KJ's you got to Ludus Feral or balance, so that's a tough one. I mean, it depends on how you get and how many we're working on right now. But yeah, I saw you guys on the armory wearing the belt. Only works really though if you have ads that pop in that you can actually get the belt to work on though. But I mean, what's the shenanigans with the bracers? Range increase and balance affinity, and like what's the range you get on Thrash then?
16, I think.
Yeah, 16 with just balance and braces. If you use chest, I think it goes up to like 23 or something.
Right, and then you add chest. Good. Yeah, that's when you get the pulling things through walls that you're not wanting to pull situation. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's
pulling
scramble
stuff around the area.
Brambles pulls through walls are tier 1 talent.
How does Brambles pull through walls?
When you activate Barkskin, it does a pulse, and that just goes straight through everything.
Oh, really? I mean, that would be a tomfoolery thing. Well, you had talked about earlier in the show, but okay. Yeah, Kib. Brambles, Bunny, please. Hey, I checked their armories before the show when I was putting together the notes. They all had Brambles talented, so there's that. But you already basically said that like stat sticks are still a huge thing. I think Mass, our prot warrior, he runs like a strength haste stat stick and then like an anger boda all the time. I don't think he ever changes them really ever. And they maybe use the tank trinket legendary sometimes. But how is the tank legendary trinket for Guardian? How did that work out okay? Pumps? Archimonde's Hatred Reborn?
Yeah, it's definitely pretty good. I think used optimally, it's like a 4 to 6% deeps increase, and it's a stat stick as well, so it's pretty good up there for deeps, and gives you like a mild defensive bonus.
Well, it's an absorb shield for 30% of your maximum health, and outside of Blood DKs popping everything, or Prot Warrior popping Last Stand, I'm pretty sure it's the biggest shield for bears.
I think the Gul'dan one's a bit bigger, right? Like, actually quite a bit bigger.
Yeah, the
Like
Gul'dan
5 mil.
is a lot bigger, but compared to other specs, the trinket is roughly the strongest on bears, more or less.
I
It's
haven't
very
heard...
good to, as a cooldown, but yeah,
Right.
situational for the defensive use.
I haven't
But for
heard
DPS,
any...
it's always solid.
I haven't heard anyone yet have as much, like, moment as the healer trinket. We talked about that on the Holy Discipline pre-show. But that is... And for Resto Druids as well. Oh my goodness, that trinket is really dumb on Resto Druids. But now that the trinket, that Velen's feature site even has use with a bear tank as a healing trinket, we'll have to wait and see. But
I don't think he would ever use it, even if it works. Like, I can't picture it being that strong.
yeah. But it's the fact that it exists. I mean, on the healer shows, they both were saying about how it's way too strong and it should have never became a thing. So there's that. So how about talent breakdowns, different builds, if there are different builds? So you put some of this stuff in your guide and you put the FAQ for it, but I don't know, Pumps, you want to walk me through like what the El Clasico build is right now for...
Sure. The normal standard build is Brambles, then Balance Affinity Incarn, and Rend and Tear. And the other, there's like 3 more rows, like Guttural Roars, the 30 tier, and the 60 tier. They're pretty much pick whatever you want.
Well, the 90 tier, you got to get Earth Warden, right? The Earth Warden really good.
Yeah, Thwarted memes real. You pretty much play GOE all the time, or Survival if you want like a tiny bit more deeps from Barkskin up, like 1 more time.
I play Earthward and Mythic Plus because I don't use Iron First, so it's better than not having a talent, I guess.
Oh, it's better than not having a talent. Wow. Yeah, I saw this back in beta and it made me just laugh. This talent is such rubbish. No.
It's also bad interaction with your legendary trinket. Since it's not absorbs, it takes longer to clear the shield.
Oh gosh.
So sometimes you actually lose damage. So,
jeez. But yeah, Guardian of Elune, for sure. That makes sense. Survival of the Fittest, you said as a DPS increase because it keeps Barkskin up more often for more Brambles.
Yep.
Oh,
That's like
gosh.
that
Real
0.1% DPS increase.
yeah, that's like at most what it does.
It's really terrible. That just sounds silly. I gotta bring Bunny up in this regard because everyone, you said you use Run Guardian of Ursoc all the time now with Incarnation, but I gotta keep the Moonfire dream alive. So Galactic Guardian, like, is that
In raids, it's more like a single target thing now, honestly. With all the new traits and the 7/7 traits for Thrash now, the extra trait and positive, it's pretty much its Incarnation all the time, unless you're a pure single target.
Yeah, damage has 10% chance to trigger free automatic Moonfire. When this occurs, the next Moonfire you cast will generate rage and deal 300% increased direct damage. Fair enough. And Soul of the Forest is basically still... They buffed it, but...
Yeah, still complete garbage.
Well, geez, tell us how you really feel. And in the same regard, Pulverize and Lunar Beam exist. Did you guys know that those exist? Those are talents you have down here. How do those work? Because I thought that Pulverize would actually like get a little stronger because of the pants. If you have the pants, because you wouldn't block off all your stacks, and it'd be easier to keep the Pulverize buff up because you have 5 stacks of Thrash in the target. But did that not work out in?
Just the opposite, actually, because Rend and Tear, it's more effective with the pants because the extra stacks give you more % damage. Pulverize is basically a defensive talent now. That's how it works.
Yeah, on the pure single target, it's like a 2% DPS gain if you play it perfectly. But yeah, you play it defensively or when you really think the boss needs more DPS, and then you play Pulverize single target, but it's like on a fun spectrum, it's like a clear 0. So I don't recommend that.
It's unfortunate. I mean, Pulverize in beta used to be a 15% reduced all damage taken. It's 15% DR for the 20 seconds. And that was way too good. And it was nerfed to 8 and then buffed up to 9. So does it need like more damage for it to be beneficial? Or does it need like maybe a 10 to 12% DR for it to be good? Because back on what we talked about earlier with the spec just being just like meh to play, because you just kind of spam Thrash and hit Mangle. Pulverize gives you something to look forward to, like a big button. Is that what they need to do to fix Pulverize, or what could they do to bring it back?
I think it's okay how it is personally. It's just like it's got its little niche that if you need the extra like 1% damage as bear, or you need the extra mitigation, then you switch it.
And then you run Lunar Beam all the time? Is that correct, Pumps? This is for the best DPS, right?
Yeah, never run Lunar Beam. It's a pretty big meme now. I think if they buffed it by like 200%, maybe it'd be good.
For the damage it does, right?
Yeah, damage.
It's just, I think Axe said when we were going over this on the notes, is that Lunar Beam works within the realm of popping it with Rage of the Sleeper because of the Embrace of the Nightmare, giving you a passive damage increase, and the Leech bonus, and then of course you Lunar Beam, and Leech heals you, and it does more damage, but even then, it's still not good enough, huh?
It's just clunky to play with as well. With Rend and Tear, you just want to run around and spam Thrash. You don't really want to get all the mobs in Lunar Beam and make sure they stand in there. And,
yeah.
It's a menace to deal with.
Yeah, because Rend and Tear reads that Thrash also increases your damage dealt to the target. Like, all flat damage dealt to the target by 2% per stack. So, and reduces the damage taken by the target by 2% per application of Thrash. So with Pants and Rend and Tear, you get 10% more damage and 10% less damage taken. Like, all the time. Or 6% if you don't have the pants on. So how could anything not be better than this? Like, it almost feels like Rend and Tear should be 1% to make it, like, not so strong and scaling so multiplicatively high.
No nerfs, please.
Okay, yeah. It's my bad. Sorry. S tier tank doesn't need nerfs. Okay.
3% maybe would make it good.
Oh, sure. Just bring it bring it way up there. Yeah, that's why not.
I mean, all the talents in the row aren't exactly great. Like Pulverize is good defensively, like 9% DR. Like,
yeah.
Of course you want that, but the whole talent row isn't very exciting in what it brings.
Yeah.
Mostly passive stuff and one useless talent.
Mm-hmm. So, were there any other talents of note? I'm basically just bringing up. I mean, no one's talked about Blood Frenzy since ever, because you don't need it.
Oh, it's also worse when you have options.
Right.
So.
It doesn't.
Unless you do that Kenris strat where you have like 6 bloods up at the same time. When it's actually good talent, but yeah. That's like the extreme niche, and I don't know how they actually made it possible for that to happen. So otherwise, it's just a terrible talent. Or if you're lazy and you think you need more rage, but don't care to press Bristling Fur for whatever reason.
I have someone in chat that says Blood Frenzy for Mage Tower.
Yeah, you would use it for a Mage Tower simply because you never get the boss in range if you play Incarnation, and otherwise you have like 0 rage generation.
So one use for it.
It could be useful next tier, with Maul actually being relevant. Maybe Rage actually converts to damage better.
Okay.
But I probably still use Bristling for a lot of the time.
Yeah, Bristling Fur is also more rage, so it would still be better for the DPS pattern.
Right.
That's what, 45% damage.
That's the weird thing that I look at this tier is your 15s were both like Bristling Fur, cooldown gives you rage. Blood Frenzy, passive, gives you rage. Brambles, you take less damage and you do a little bit more damage. And then you use Bark Skin, which is DR, you deal some damage. Like why? That is it's like a rage tier, damage mitigation, which I guess rage equals damage mitigation, which is the whole point. But like Brambles just continues to scale and it has interactivity with something else. So
the level 30 tiers is basically the same thing too. It's just 2 movement abilities and then just random talent thrown in there that, you know, like what is this doing here?
Well, that's true, yeah. Guttural Roars and Wild Charge are movement, and then Intimidating Roar is like calls out enemies to cower in fear. It's a 3-second AoE disorient. Yeah. That's true. I mean, Guttural Roar is by all means is just like way too good. Because you get the big boy. I mean, this is what Feral Druids want this back, because their roar is so bleh, that 10-yard range, whereas you get the huge big boy range when you give a roar for bear. So
I think I've only used Wild Charge once this expansion. I was in the Mage Tower. I kept getting knocked off like a big noob.
Oh, so Wild Charge for Mage Tower as well. Oh.
Yeah, if you have problems with the eyes, but yeah.
Okay.
I use Guttural Roars because like the eyes aren't really a thing. You look at them, and if they don't bug out, they don't knock you off. One Moonfire kills them, so
right.
Guttural Roars was just a lot more flexible when you somehow got in a bad position and phase 3 jumps around or ads are coming at you and you can't interrupt right now. I think at least for me that worked out a lot better.
Did I mean, you obviously talked about balance affinity because it's for all the Druid specs except obviously Boomkin, but they already have a baseline. Balance affinity becomes so good. It's so video gamey because it's just that range increase. It's really, really strong. But I mean that's like the go-to for Guardian, unless you want a cat weave, which I guess is a thing, but ish. Did Resto Affinity just get benched super hard? Is its healing not worth it at the end? Or if like Resto Affinity plus the chest maybe? Or is that just still not a strong worth point for Resto Affinity? You just take, because again, if you have the chest on, you can just go balance and just thrash the world. So, do any of you run Resto Affinity at all?
It definitely has a place. Like when you're in complete standstill and you just need to heal. Like Botanist was probably the best one. Tichondrius wasn't bad, and Gul'dan this tier at least. Where the range didn't really make that big a difference, and the healing was like a free bonus. That's about it though.
Yeah, okay.
If you combine it with Legendary Chest and Priders, you get a lot of self-heal, but like most of the times you just don't need the self-heal because damage intake isn't that big, or well, doesn't necessarily have to be damage intake on you. It can also be like extremely high rate damage intake and just want to take less damage yourself, but it just doesn't happen all that often outside like extreme strats like permanently tanking Botanist in phase 3, which ramps up to like 2 million damage a second. Yeah, it doesn't happen that often, but when it happens, it's definitely helping.
Okay. Yeah, because I guess the thing about that, at least for me looking in the outside, is that if the heal is hitting you, because it's only 3% or more with the chest, but that's a lot considering you have the highest health pool of all tanks. But when it's not healing you, it's kind of like meh. Because the tick heal on someone else is nowhere near as beneficial as it is on you. So, okay.
But tick heal is still based off your HP, so it's the same amount, but it's not like the rate healing aspect of it is not why you would use it.
Oh, wait, Ysera's gift, the heal amount that would heal someone else is based on your HP?
Yes. Right.
Oh. I honestly didn't. I thought, because the way it reads, it does not say that, because it just says an injured party array member will be healed instead. But I would assume it heals them for 3% of their max HP, but it works off yours. Huh. Okay. Doesn't sound as terrible then. But talents aside, this is where we can get into sort of some nitty-gritty conversation with chat room if they have questions. Of course, we'll bring them up, and obviously, it might get a little bit just be gentle, chat. We've been pretty good so far, but I have a few things that have come up before that Discord. If you have questions for shows that I weave in there, if you join the Final Boss TV Discord, link on the channel guide, I ping the general chat for upcoming show on like Friday or Saturday evening when I'm working on show notes, and you can sort of plop questions in there, and I will wiggle them into show here. So I guess the first one I'll lead in, Bunny, I'll lead you over to, you know, does the Legion style of tanking right now, the whole damage equals mitigation, is that the best incarnation of how tanking has been, or has previous expansions done it better?
I definitely like it personally, but I guess having to think more, they can focus off of tanks doing their rotation and more on them doing mechanics now, I guess you could say, where now you can have a tank do all these things, whereas before they had to mitigate physical, and there's always a chance that they just die or whatever. Now they have to, they can add mechanics to tanks because you're doing less with your rotation.
Okay. I mean, bears have like probably, I don't know if I haven't counted this, but I think they still have the most defensive button cooldowns of any of the tanks in the game right now. I'm pretty sure still. It was worse, I want to say, in Warlords. There was like nine defensive cooldowns, something terrible. Like if you talented for all the different things, and like no other tank even came close. So, but how about we went over stats earlier, but just yeah, chat's freaking out. The mic is back. Yeah,
I did it. I figured it out.
He had to fight it the whole show. I'll have to put a note in the YouTube description that, you know, about halfway through the mic comes back. So, but Ak, you went over stats earlier, but Northern Man wasn't here. But where does crit fall for Guardian? Because you don't have parry.
You get dodge from it, of passive, but it's a bad stat. Like it only gives you dodge, and dodge has heavy DR in Legion, and like if your item is crit heavy, you feel bad defensively. Like it's decent for DPS, but defensively really bad.
Okay, it's a pretty straightforward answer. Have I done anything with Fat Boss before? Yeah, they did on my show before, and I did the Trivial Pursuit episodes. Those are found on the playlist. There's 4 WoW Trivial Pursuit episodes where I sat down with a whole slew of people. Alex and Laws were there. So, that works. I guess, question was, do you wish there were more things to do as a tank in Mythic Raids, like interactive mechanics, like the robot from Socrathar? I thought from the outside in that you guys actually had some interesting ones this tier so far, like how you cleared the room for Star Augur was pretty good. How you cleansed or dumped Gul'dan's energy was neat. I don't know. What do you guys think? Pumps. All you do is damage, but what do you think about tank mechanics?
I think there's definitely some interesting ones this tier. I like tanking this tier for sure. Compared to Emerald Nightmare, it was pretty nothing, more or less. And Top was also calm. But this is definitely the best one so far. And yeah, there's some new mechanics. Yeah, exactly. Like the Gul'dan one and the Star Augur. Definitely the best. I think even Botness was good, honestly, even though it was easy.
Well, That's such the humble brag from a Guardian Druid. It took us like 3 days to kill Botanist because we have Prot Paladin, Prot Warrior. But like Bear Druids could just tank it the 3rd phase from pulled to dead. Like, who cares? So
It's only like 6 million damage a second, you know. Towards the end, you shrug it off.
you have 8-9 million HP. Who cares? Basically, that's how that works out. Clearly, mob tanking was best tanking. Tank damage equals DPS for tanks. Yeah, do you guys miss Vengeance at all?
Yeah. Like every time I think about mob, I really feel bad.
Ew.
Yeah. It's the best it's ever been, and I don't know. But now tanking is like either you are a bad DPS or you get some annoying mechanics to deal with that like no one ever wants to do. So yeah. I don't know. I don't like it that much so far in Legion.
Oh, you don't like it that much, Ak?
No. That and the specs being like completely brain dead compared to before. Like doesn't help it much either.
They definitely removed some. I guess I would argue they only removed like nuance, if you could say that, from the different specs going into Legion, and they just actually admitted that on the last huge Blue Post stuff, and I think Ian talked about it as well, is they finally, it's been saying since beta, they took too much out for our fantasy. And
yeah.
So they've said
Refresh and swipe fantasy.
That's all Pumps cares about though. So
hard gameplay mechanics.
Yeah.
Press the button that glows up and press fresh, and yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
Playing a.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Playing a tank now just feels like a deeps that tanks the mobs. Really, it's like it.
Yeah. And
Feels
shit
similar to
DPS.
I think that was their goal though, because of how, I guess, quote unquote, scary tanking looked from the outside to new players or to people that wanted to tank but didn't know if they could do it or not. So now it's just there are tools that tanks use, but yeah, for the most part, you are kind of like a DPS that just has defensive sort of caked in or some activatable defenses to not die. But yep. Yeah, the haste question came up again. You know.
Yeah, I know who to ask.
Oh, so
Blueprint.
Is this really a thing that people? I mean, obviously they're joking about it right now, but is that something that really comes up a lot to the general public, that this 25% haste cap is a thing?
Like, the thing is, every time you say there's a cap, people think it's like, oh my god, when you reach that, you're gonna be so much better than before, and it's just not that. Like, it's good in Mythic Plus, and you definitely want it, but it's not like drop like a billion item levels on a gear just to get the 25% haste,
Gaining more haste also isn't a bad thing. After that, you know, it's not like, or even, you know, before. If you can't hit the cap, haste is still your best stat for damage. And if you are at the cap, haste is still your best stat for damage. So it's kind of irrelevant to the point where if you want damage, you get haste, and if you don't, then versatility.
Okay, that's fair. How do I get my raid to stop using the Sky Mirror and Crystal to steal my hard-earned man bear? That's a good question.
I don't
Get your own crystals, fight back.
Yeah, you can swap them right back.
Yeah. It
I
was
mean,
a lot more annoying with the LSD bear, like the purple one.
Oh,
Actually
jeez.
confused a lot of people.
That, yeah. If you do the, well, you said LSD bear. I just thought it was Nyan bear. Because now Pharaohs have Nyan cat. They literally have the trail falling behind them. But yeah, you do a whole raid. I'll make a blue or a purple, the Mountain Dew bear colors. The whole raid is that stupid bright bear. Yeah, good luck seeing mechanics if you have any Frosty Ks or anyone doing any AoE off of anything else. Those are fun, though.
People still managed to not see me when they ran into me on Gul'dan. So, there's that. But...
Yep.
I mean, yeah. That's fair. That's fair. And then when you lose the damage reduction on Mark of Ursal, this will wrap up Ursal talking, will it change your tanking strategy? in any current or tomb bosses. I guess it depends on how much PTR testing or reading up you've done on the new bosses coming. You got 9 new ones. You've only been able to test 8 of them so far. But anything on the horizon that you think you'll have to change your way of tanking?
Possibly. Gul'dan might be a bit sketchy, soloing sites. If I'm obviously not every guild does that, but I know a lot do. And on Mythic Gul'dan, I mean, it's still doable, obviously, but will definitely be a bit risky.
You said
I just went over that recently, and like basically, I think I need 1 more external over the entire fight if I don't use Marcus Ursel. Like currently, it happened sometimes that I actually just forgot to press it, and I didn't even notice till after the scythe hit because I was like a little bit less HP than I expected to be. Like basically just more gear and everything. Like the 4% passive from the new trait is also helping. But, I mean, once that change hits, I think the entirety of Nighthawk is gonna get a flat damage nerf, so that won't be that relevant. And for Tomb, as I said, there's not really a lot of magic stuff, at least not so till now. Maybe Mythic Kill Jaden phase is like 100% magic damage and bears are completely unusable, so maybe that's that, but I don't think that's gonna happen. That makes like half specs unusable. So, yeah.
Okay. Kib wants to know, how do I get Bunny to stop asking me to use Metamorphosis before the fight so he can be a demon?
You don't.
Hey, why would you want to be a demon when you're a giant man bear gorilla man? Like,
have you seen it? They got like wings and stuff. I want wings.
I guess.
It wouldn't fall off on Gul'dan. It wouldn't get launched, you know?
Oh, is that how it works? I don't think that's how it works. Is there anything you would change? It's one of my other follow-up questions about Guardian to make it more, I mean, this is subjective from each of the 3 of you, more fun or engaging, or, because again, unless you really like spamming Thrash, I'm going to go to Pumps first on this. Anything you would change about Guardian?
About Guardian? Yeah, I'd probably take away the cooldown of Thrash.
Oh my god. I mean, what do I expect when I asked him? I mean, I don't know what I set myself up for that one, didn't I? Walk right into that door.
I don't know. Actually, I like the current gameplay. I wouldn't change that much, honestly.
Except the cooldown thing.
Yeah, of course.
Bunny, how about you?
I think it's fine. They're trying to fix it, I think, or somewhat working on it. It seems like a lot of our damage is like front-loaded into Thrash and Mangle, and they could try to rebalance that better. But you know, that's about it. I like how it plays, but yeah.
Ak, anything from you?
The spec works. Like no real shortcomings on the rotation on any mechanics or DPS windows really, but I think it's just very brain dead play. Like you spam swipe, and you press Thrash, and yeah. Not really much thought going into it.
I guess that's one thing for me that I look at from the outside, that obviously you hit Mangle. And when Mangle resets, you hit Mangle again, because it's your main builder. And then you hit Thrash on the rotation. And then your filler is just spamming swipe. Because, well, until, like, Bunny said they're trying to fix it with the integration of making Maul worth a damn. So we'll have to wait and see how that feels rotationally wise, because that's what Brewmaster felt to me back in beta, that it was just like, it's just Blackout Strike, Keg, Breathe Fire. Blackout Strike, Keg, Breathe Fire. Blackout Strike, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I mean, to a degree, tank rotations are kind of simple because you're supposed to care about not dying to the boss and moving him and interrupts and cooldowns and whatever, but like Axe says, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's brain dead exactly, but Bear is sort of just like that. And that's what Pumps even said, that they're really similar to Bear and Brewmaster, the rotation wise.
I think the problem with the surviving part you usually do as a tank is like lots of it is based on how good your healers are. Like you can be the best Druid days, but if your healers aren't good, like you're gonna die anyway. It's not like how it was in Mob, for example, where you were the one doing most of your surviving and not the healers. You So basically right now is if you fuck up the obvious mechanics, you die, but more than just basically regularly playing the spec won't get you much out of it.
Yeah.
It's mostly healers doing your living part.
Well, that's sort of the question that I've seen a few times in here now, is that like why do tanks care so much about doing damage? It's obviously helpful, right? Like you're part of the team to do damage and make sure you push benchmarks and whatever, but the follow-up question to that I'm not going to say, because it's kind of rude for no reason, but they wanted to make tank damage matter, and obviously in MoP it didn't, unless you cheese Vengeance. And then in Warlords it was like, eh. But now in Legion, I mean, I did Mythic Pluses last night with Mass, my Prot Warrior, and he was second or third, if not first, on DPS throughout the whole Mythic Plus, like even on boss damage. And we've got myself enhancement. We had a gosh, what else was in the group? Assassination Rogue, right? I mean, we were going for it, but I mean, tanks do damage now. It's just kind of what they do.
Well, on AoE they do, but on single target it's still like, I don't know. I think most damage you get out of his spec is by putting on DPS trinkets and DPS talents, and that's just it. That's like most of your DPS gain. That's not. Well, there's still the same things DPS do, like saving your cooldowns for the proper times to do more damage and such, but it's not really spec dependent for the tanks itself.
Okay.
So.
And I guess, I mean, to pick on pumps again, like the 17th time, like what's your perspective on that, I guess? Because to my understanding, if you're alive, then just do damage, essentially, or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't really lose that much from going full deeps gear because Frenzy regen's so strong. Like, you're going to take a lot of damage, but you heal back the damage you take anyway. So even if you take a bit more, you just heal a bit more.
I mean, you just put the rest of your time into doing damage. I think it's just a misunderstanding that people think that tank's supposed to like get there and position and tank the mobs and blah blah. But I mean, threat is sort of a 1-to-1 with damage now. So
Yeah, threat isn't a thing. Like, I don't know.
Kind of a thing.
It's technically a mechanic
right now,
to keep DPS from getting aggro over the tanks, but for tanks themselves, it's not a thing. So, I'm glad it isn't, because it's a terrible mechanic. But
yeah, it's a bit of an old mindset, really.
Okay. Anything else about the whole? I mean, the title of the nitty gritty I put in here is the tank balance, like end game situation. But we all sort of know that Guardian is way up there as the S tier. Brewmaster right now is right behind you, even though they're getting a lot of attention. We'll have to see. And then there's like a hodgepodge of like Prot Paladin, and then maybe Prot Warrior Vengeance, and then Blood. Even though that was before Blood's new super OP leech consumption trait. So. But is there anything you see? Because you're both not double bear tanking everything. So
no. I think
Other tanks.
Warrior Druid and Wonka are all gonna be very strong for Tomb, at least how it's currently tuned for the specs. DK I think is also gonna be decent, like definitely viable to use. Paladin also pretty good, like depending on if your gear is good or not. If you're like no haste, you're gonna be terrible, but if you pay attention to that and get proper haste gear, you're gonna be like perma S OTR and good off heal and utility. But currently the only one making the big problem is Vengeance Demon Hunter, because they have nothing special and they're like bad at everything. So I hope tuning gets to that.
Yeah, exactly.
They got some love with their new traits and stuff. So, and they fixed the trait that made them do more damage. So, yep. Don't really gain that much for going for DPS as a bear for single target. Well, that's what they tried to fix with these hot fixes recently that were, or the buffs rather. So, anything else you want to leave the community with, the bears out there with? Anything you want to, any anecdotal stuff, Bunny, by chance, maybe?
It hit Thrash.
Damn it! Trying to run like a serious, like, mature show here, guys. All right.
Yeah, we are just trashing it, I guess.
I suppose. Do you have anything to add to that then, Pumps, or is it the same? What? Are you trying to say something and it's not working?
Here comes Australia. It's his turn.
It's his turn? No.
I think you said Thrash.
Well, there's a graphic here. Hello? I think we lost him, team. I think. What did you do, Pumps? What did you do?
He's role-playing Bunny. It says someone in chat.
Yeah. Well, we'll end with this. Hopefully, Pumps can at least sign off with us real quick. But we had this awesome graphic to wrap up Guardian Druids here real quick. It doesn't fit completely on the scroll down. So we have Theory Crafters, right? Big old wall of text, figuring out how to do things, how stuff works with all this kind of stuff. This is how most Theory Crafters work on everything, right? This is pretty accurate, right? Right, chat? I mean, it's pretty good. But then you scroll down here, and this is how Guardians work. This is accurate, Bunny? Ack? This is about.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think
Pretty much.
that's sort of the end of the show, I guess. At that point, just make more Thrash, and that's yep. Get bracers and pants and go to town. Are you back, Pumps? Hello? Nope.
Oh, he was trying.
I could hear like clicks and stuff. Bay link, please. Oh, damn it. Fine. Here's the link, chat. I'll put it in the YouTube description box too. You guys are terrible. Just terrible. Oh yeah, there was the one that was the theory crafting where it was like all serious. Then the bottom one was the Brewmaster Monk one that was just this like the screeching and holding up their legendaries. That's all they were doing. So, indeed. Well, I think I can't sign off a show any better than with that image. So I'm gonna hit this button over here. Can I link the updated version? Probably not. Maybe. We'll see. But that's gonna do it for the Guardian Druid episode number 138. Apparently all we've learned today from the past almost 2 hours is Thrash is good and Bear is for DPS. But that's gonna do it for the show today. Let's go around the table real quick again here. Say goodbye to our guest. There's Bunnychaser himself. You can go bother him on Discord at Bunnychaser. Thank you for being on the show today, sir. Thank you for fixing your mic like halfway through. I appreciate that.
I figured it out. It took a couple of settings and stuff, but it happened.
It was working before we were setting up the show. It was fine. Then we start the show, and then Skype's like, nah. But I appreciate your time on the show today, sir. Keep everyone under control in Discord. All right, or to a degree. There's Akmandor right there. You can go bother him as well at the same name in Discord. Yeah. Keep things under control. I mean, I don't know if you can control tank chat though, Ak. So good luck.
Yeah, given up on that a long time ago.
That's fair enough. But thank you for the resources you put together, and thank you for your time on the show today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And there's Pumps again in Discord at Pumps, who may or may not be able to actually respond to me right now. Pumps, thank you for your time and your DPS. Click twice for yes, click once for no. I heard something.
It just makes a noise.
I heard a noise, but what is happening? Did he fall asleep? I don't know what happened. But he was here, but now he's gone. That's fair enough. He thrashed too hard. But that's gonna be it for me on the show today. Something's going on. Trust in your Seal of Artifact power, of course, and get on your artifact challenges as the Mage Tower is up, depending on your region. And next week, there is no show on Sunday. There's going to be a poll, so go follow the show on Twitter. Links down below, or it's at FinalBossTV on Twitter. There'll be a poll going up probably tomorrow. It'll last for a week, or last until at least the weekend, until next Sunday. And you can vote on the next 4 spec class shows to come on the show. Again, no show next Sunday, but then we'll do 4 after that, and you can vote on which 4 those are. So link down below to Twitter. Of course, you can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music as the audio only, or you can go check the cut up, clipped up VOD, all nice and tidy up on YouTube there, on the links down below as well on YouTube. But thank you all so much for watching. Have a great week. Enjoy your Broken Shore. Go farm your legendaries. Get your pants. Get your Thrash pants, Bunny. All right. Jeez. But until next week, everybody.
Have the pants, please.
Oh, you need the bracers. You need the bracers. That's right. You need the other one. Go farm the bracers if you don't have those.
Thanks, boys.
But thank you all so much for watching. But until next week, everybody. Bye. Oh, bye-bye. Bunny, they can see you. Wave bye at the nice people. Or make the bear stance. Or that works too. That works too.